5 minutes after 9 o'clock here on this Wednesday morning under partly cloudy skies. It's 44 degrees in Clinton this morning.
Local information that makes a difference. Here's your regional weather.
Sunny today, temperatures in the mid-60s, a calm variable wind through the course of the day today. Partly cloudy tonight, lows around 30 degrees. A northwest wind will shift from the northeast after midnight at 15 to 25 miles per hour. Partly sunny Thursday, a high only of 40 degrees, northeast winds at 15 to 20 miles per hour. Partly cloudy Thursday night, lows in the upper 20s. Friday, partly sunny and more seasonable. Temperatures around 50 degrees, a southeast wind at 15 to 25 miles per hour. Friday night, cloudy, lows in the mid-40s. South-southeast winds at 15 to 25 miles an hour. Partly sunny and breezy on Saturday, a high of 70. South winds 15 to 20 miles an hour. And wind gusts on Saturday in excess of 30 miles per hour. May just open up the house windows on that day. Sunday, a 40% chance of early rain, otherwise partly sunny and a high of 60. Across central Illinois as we roll through this Wednesday, right now partly cloudy. Bloomington, temperatures at 47, 43 in Hayworth, 41 in Leroy, 43 in Farmer City, 47 in Champaign, 47 in Monticello. It's 48 in Decatur, 44 in Mount Pulaski, 43 in Lincoln, 48 degrees in Springfield, and 45 degrees in Peoria. 44 overcast in Clinton. Winds are calm, 93% humidity, 7 miles of visibility on this Wednesday. Weather anytime is at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Life is uncertain. Stop in and see me, State Farm Agent Jason France, on the west side of the Clinton Square, or click our icon at DeWittDailyNews.com and see how our full lineup of State Farm insurance and financial services can help protect your family.
Local farm broadcaster Jared White covers the local agriculture news you need to know. Hear his reports by downloading the free WHOW mobile app. You and your loved one will love living here at Eagle Ridge Supportive Living in Decatur. Marketing Director Carla Thomas here with some comments from one of our happy residents.
Everything's took care of properly. Almost looks like a resort compared to what it is. A very enjoyable place to live.
Eagle Ridge in Decatur is affordable to everyone. Call me, Carla Thomas, for a tour at 217-872-1282. That's 217-872-1282 and start enjoying supportive living.
The WHOW Morning Show is now video streamed live on the WHOW WEZC DeWittDailyNews.com Facebook page and on the new WHOW TV YouTube channel. Watch Morning Show host Seth Lawrence interview guests live, as well as watch archived video podcasts of any interview you missed. Whether on Facebook or YouTube, we're providing 2 more ways that Central Illinois' local news station, WHOW, delivers compelling content for you.
You're listening to The Morning Show, streamed by clicking the WHOW live icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us on this Wednesday morning. Coverage of the WHOW Morning Show streams live to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. In this segment of the WHOW Morning Show, we're joined by Piatt County Sheriff Mark Vogelzang. Sheriff Vogelzang, good morning, sir. How are you today?
Good morning, Seth. Doing very, very well on this beautiful day.
I'll tell you what a start to March. How about it? Probably a lot of buzz in the Piatt County area with this nice weather.
Yes, I think everybody's excited to start getting out. You're seeing a lot more people out walking their pets, and I'm sure the farmers are excited to start getting some equipment out and washed and ready to get in the fields.
Sure. Very good. Well, and we'll dive into, Sheriff, some of the challenges that face communities and law enforcement as the weather turns and the spring arrives. But we'll get to that later. I want to start with, we had you on our community spotlight for Sarah Gordo and Be Mint a few months ago, and catching up here at in a bit more, lengthy conversation, long form conversation. Tell us a little bit, Sheriff, about how you came to the post of Piatt County Sheriff. I know Dave Hunt retired, I think, late last year, and so now you step into his role. Tell us a little bit about your journey to Piatt County Sheriff.
Sure. I know Dave and I had had some conversations, and I had expressed some interest in running for sheriff in 22 if he had not planned on doing so. It just happened a little bit sooner than expected. Dave decided to retire last July. So I, at that time, retired from Champaign Police Department and decided to come over here July 1 of last year.
Sure. Well, tell us about the first, 6 or 8 months now that you've been at the post of sheriff. How are things going? And, is there quite a learning curve into that administrative role? How about those things from your perspective?
It's been a lot of fun. The prior administration left us in a really good spot. We've got a great staff. So, just trying to, my belief is always to take anything, no matter how good it is, just keep striving to improve upon that and make things better. So we promoted our investigator at the time to Chief Deputy Tom Apperson. And between the two of us, we've been trying really hard to make some improvements and work with the community and build some relationships.
Absolutely. And, from that's an interesting point you bring up about community policing, because, in talking with other law enforcement officials in the area, that's one thing that they really emphasize is knowing the communities that they're in, their officers knowing people and being out front, and, not just someone that shows up in the worst time of your, perhaps worst experience of your life. While some folks, that's when they encounter law enforcement. A lot of agencies want to be more than that. They want to be proactive in getting to know their communities. Do you mind speaking to that at all, and perhaps that being a philosophy of your department?
Sure. And, it's one of those that I don't think the community or the public sees it a lot. And, even as an administrator, there's a lot of things that I don't see that the deputies, the officers that are doing, because they're one-on-one with somebody that's going through a traumatic event, whether it's a loved one that just passed or a burglar at Christmas time or something like that. And the officers and the deputies are doing some amazing things, such as, providing food to them. They'll run to a local restaurant and get some food because the person's going through a traumatic event, or going to that burglary scene where they decide to pull some funds and buy a family gift card. So a lot of those little things really mean a lot to the officers and deputies as they try and help out their community.
Absolutely. Well, and just how about that conversation, a greater conversation, Sheriff, about what if there is a philosophy for a sheriff, or what you feel your department should embody in terms of law enforcement. What are some things that you hope to bring to the table in your time as sheriff in Piatt County?
Well, I think it's just that, building those relationships with, whether it's the community, the schools, spending time in the schools, working with a lot of the other agencies within our county. Being a smaller county, we've got a lot of rural fire districts. Our medical, the Kirby ambulance is phenomenal. And there's some smaller police agencies that we're really trying to work with, probation, working in the schools with the violence prevention. And, being a lot of these agencies are much smaller, so trying to work with them and partner with them in training and equipment, things like that.
For sure. Now, in Piatt County, what's kind of unique about your county, Sheriff, is it's very, long in terms of, mileage north to south. And there's a lot of smaller communities that are in Piatt County that you really have to keep tabs on. Talk a little bit. I know we kind of got into this conversation when we did our spotlight with Sarah Gordo and B. Mint. Talk a little bit about how you work with, whether it's those police departments or even contracting with those communities for a police presence. What happens there for some of those areas in Piatt County outside of the Monticello area?
You mentioned how big the county is, and that's probably one of my biggest changes that I saw from Champaign, going from a response time of potentially minutes to a response time of 20 or 25 minutes if you're going to the other end of the county. But yes, currently we do contract with Cerro Gordo for police services. The Met did have one officer that they're looking to fill a position there, and then Mansfield has an officer as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, trying to work with them, and when you're a department of one or two, it's hard to get that training in. So we're going to start trying to invite them into our whether it be firearms training or working with medical training for AEDs or, applying tourniquets and those initial responses.
When it comes to just, your sheriff direction for the departments, is there anything there that I haven't asked about? Anything specific that you have on your mind as it relates to, how you want your department to operate or a direction for it? Anything that I didn't ask you about in that conversation you want to highlight for us?
No, I think it's just trying to get out there and have those positive interactions with our citizens that wouldn't normally get to interact with law enforcement. And a lot of that starts within the schools, but then also trying to address those quality of life issues. There's a couple places around the county currently that, talking to the residents that there might be a drug house or some other issues like that. So trying to get those problems addressed and utilizing our resources to the best of ability to improve those quality of life issues.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. Again, Piatt County Sheriff Mark Vogelzang on the phone with us here for today. And Sheriff, let's talk a little bit about these ARPA funds that are getting funneled into counties like Piatt County, DeWitt County, and what is the sheriff's department potentially envisioning for use of those funds if you have the opportunity to tap into those? What types of things come to mind for you, Sheriff?
Well, actually, we've got a meeting a little bit later this morning, reference ARPA funds, and as everybody could imagine, those funds are limited, and
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of need in any given county for funds. So there's quite a few requests. So far, we've had one squad car that an engine ultimately kind of blew up, and we needed to replace a car pretty quickly. And then we're also looking at tasers and body cams for that as well. We did have some money set aside for upgrades at the courthouse to do video arraignment. The courthouse was ultimately able to secure some other grants to help with that. So that's freed up some funds to look at some other alternatives. One of the things that we're looking at is potentially upgrading our radio system. There's parts of the county that if a deputy goes to, they are not able to communicate with dispatch, and that becomes an issue.
That is an issue. Wow.
Yeah.
So talk about that upgrade a little bit. How can you improve that?
Well, it's, we're still kind of early in the process looking at some different issues, but the state police uses a radio system called Starcom. So trying to look at different coverage capabilities, but it becomes an issue when you're trying to make an arrest and you're needing some additional help from other deputies, but also if there's a traffic crash or something like that and you need to call for air life or communicate with EMS. It seems like all of our critical incidents across this country during a debrief, it boils down to communication. being one of the top three, if they're not the number one issue in a lot of these critical incidents. So
Yeah.
always trying to look at how we can make things better as we go forward.
Sure. Well, and I venture a guess, Sheriff, that being able to make these upgrades at the, some would say the taxpayer is funding the ARPA money, and perhaps that's true. But to take the immediate burden off the taxpayer, without having to, whether it's decrease your budget in other places in the next year or two, but to be able to do that and make these upgrades, I'm sure that's a win for your department.
Oh, absolutely. And that's one of the big things. You really want to be a good steward of the taxpayers' money. And,
Right.
Always trying to look at how we can best get the best deal. Is it really necessary? Is it something that, prioritizing the different purchases? So, yeah, it's one of the things that's always in the back of your mind, looking at potential grant opportunities through different areas as well. So, yeah, you definitely want to be a good steward of the taxpayers' money.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, Sheriff, just in the, general world of budgeting, is there anything that stands out about the Piatt County Sheriff's Office that you've noticed or that is worthy of a, quick talking point there? Anything like that?
I think, like I said, the prior administration really set things up well. It's just a matter of trying to forecast and get those replacement schedules figured out so that we can plan, whether it's 6 months, a year, 5 years, 10 years into the future, so that we can be prepared for things as they arise.
Sure thing. Well, Sheriff, I'll tell you what, let's take a time out here, my friend. Come back and talk a little more. Again, that is Piatt County Sheriff Mark Vogelzang on the phone with us on the WHOW Morning Show, streaming live to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. More to come on the Morning Show.
MR Systems Wireless has an immediate opening. They're looking for a full-time internet installer to perform the initial setup of wireless internet and voice-over IP services, as well as troubleshoot and repair wireless and phone services for customers. You'll be responsible for the basic installation and maintenance of wireless equipment. No experience necessary. Includes health benefits, mileage reimbursed. Starting pay is $15 an hour. Find out more and apply by going to mrsystemswireless.com, then clicking About, then Employment. Equal opportunity employer.
I'm Noah Atkinson, owner at Lincoln Printers and Sign Designs in Lincoln. We honor area businesses and nonprofit organizations by being the exclusive sponsor of the WHOW WEZC Lincoln Printers Business of the Month.
The Clinton Area Chamber of Commerce and Tourism Bureau has been the gateway for Clinton for decades. As a strong advocate for local business and tourism, the office promotes Clinton's chamber members, hotels and motels, as well as hosting a number of yearly events to attract people to the Christian County seat. They'll receive a $200 gift certificate good at Lincoln Printers and Sign Designs for being our WHOW WEZC Lincoln Printers Business of the Month. Nominate a business you'd like to see featured by emailing us at whow@randyradio.com.
Lincoln Printers and Sign Designs congratulates this local business for being part of our business community. And don't forget, when you need envelopes, wedding invitations, signs, banners, vinyl wraps, and more, find us online at lincolnprintersinc.com.
Hear Clinton Maroon live play-by-play this season on WHOW, the Big 1520 Daytime, 92.3 FM in DeWitt County and 106.5 in Bloomington Normal all the time. Plus, streamed at DeWittDailyNews.com on the WHOW mobile app and Amazon Alexa. Plus, tune in for a best of Clinton sports broadcast every Saturday morning at 10. All brought to you by our exclusive sponsor for our Player of the Game, Serve Pro of Piatt, DeWitt counties. They can make your emergency or disaster like it never even happened.
You're listening to The Morning Show, streamed by clicking the WHOW live icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Top of the morning. Thanks again for being with us. I'm your host, Seth Lawrence, and Piatt County Sheriff Mark Vogelzang joins the program. We're streaming live to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Sheriff Vogelzang, we were catching up a little bit in preparation of our time together today, and you even mentioned it at the top, all this great weather we've we've had to start the month of March, and all the folks that are getting out walking dogs and those sorts of things, and talking with your peers in other departments around the area. The spring brings on lots of concerns about overnight car burglaries and things of that nature. I know there's been a spree of catalytic converter thefts and things of that nature. Let's talk that this time of the year, and as the weather warms up, what it means for law enforcement, Sheriff.
Oh, absolutely. You're always worried. Obviously, traffic safety comes to mind. Everybody enjoys being out on their motorcycles, so you want safe roads. You're going to have the farmers out and about with their tractors, so there's going to be some slower traffic out there as well. So, number one would be traffic safety. Just being aware of those particular vehicles out there, and being aware, and taking those extra couple minutes and looking at intersections. We've had some pretty serious accidents here in the last 6 months at four-way intersections where somebody just doesn't take that extra second and look each way, and create some pretty horrific crashes. So take that extra couple minutes, give the farmers some leeway. Watch for those motorcycles. A lot of times they're very hard to see. So just allow yourself some extra time on the road.
For sure. And, I was actually in one of the local car shops yesterday getting a headlight for my car. And the gentleman that was checking out ahead of me was buying a battery for his motorcycle and ready to get that out and rolling here today. So when it comes to, Sheriff, the thefts in vehicles and burglaries in vehicles, one thing I'm kind of curious about is, we talk with our law enforcement folks here in DeWitt County, and they often tell me that it's a crime of opportunity. Folks are leaving their cars unlocked. They're leaving valuables in the car at the same time. Talk to me a little bit about maybe some of the trends like that you see in Piatt County.
Oh, I would definitely agree with DeWitt. And I said I saw that quite often with my time in Champaign as well. It's not necessarily a lot of broken windows to access the interior of a car. It's trying those door handles, and hey, it's open. Let's get into it and see what we can take. And a lot of times it's just change and miscellaneous items, nothing too major. But we have seen where firearms are left in unlocked vehicles and are stolen, which is obviously very, very concerning with gun violence in the area. So just definitely making sure that you're locking your cars, and keep in mind that if it's not locked, that it's very easy to access a garage door opener that's in the car as well. So now it potentially allows them opportunity to get into your house. So,
interesting.
Yeah, definitely keep those locked and all your valuables out of the car.
Yeah, for sure. And Sheriff, I know that in the vast rural area of Piatt County, you were telling me you see even from time to time some burglaries within agriculture sheds and things of that nature. Talk about that with me.
Yeah, there's a lot of times these sheds are might be in a rural area or something like that, so you tend to see theft of tools and things like that as well. But again, I think as we go forward, just farmers and citizens are realizing that this is a potential issue, and nowadays it's just so cheap, and the cameras are so good that putting in a Ring doorbell or trail cams or a video surveillance system, really the prices have come down so much that it is leading to a lot more arrests. And I think law enforcement as a whole is working very well and communicating very well between, even different counties. We just had a spree earlier this year where involved multiple counties and multiple agencies, and working together, communicating, getting video, really goes a long ways to solving some of these.
Yeah, I know that Chief Lowers here in Clinton and his department is working to try to create a database of where some of those cameras are at. And if I'm not mistaken, I think at one point earlier this year, maybe late last year, he told me that it was actually instrumental in solving a crime that they had. So I know that those, like you said, those doorbell cams and security systems that folks are putting up have become instrumental in some of those cases as well. So Sheriff, as we wrap up our time together, you talked about the support of folks allowing the law enforcement folks there in Piatt County access to those things. And just in general, I know that you're very appreciative of the support of the community that they've shown you and your guys. How about that?
Correct. There's a lot of different organizations that are bringing a good spotlight on law enforcement. Project 703 is just a phenomenal organization. But even our community as a whole. Just the other day, we were eating at a restaurant in Cerro Gordo, and we got up to pay our bill, and it was amazing because some citizen that had already left had purchased the meal. But what a lot of citizens don't realize is it kind of starts that pay it forward philosophy where we see that, and then we leave a big tip for the server, and it snowballs. Or you're in line at a random business, say Dunkin' Donuts, and the deputy or officer pays for the meal for the car behind him, and it's that snowball effect where people start paying it forward. So it's very appreciated, and we've got a great community that's really supports law enforcement, and it means a lot.
Sure. Sheriff, it was great to have you on the program this morning. I hope you enjoyed it. We enjoyed it from our perspective, and hopefully we can catch up soon. Piatt County Sheriff Mark Vogelzang on the phone with us. The morning show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton.